In this video, we're going to be looking at the outer garden beds of our yard that have been abandoned for a month. And you'll see some evidences of that as we go along here, but we've just gotten back into the country a couple of weeks ago, and I'm finally getting around to the backyard.
Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave.
Welcome to the Bowtie Gardens. I am, of course, Bowtie David. You can tell because I'm wearing my name tag. And we are here in the garden, in the backyard. We already looked at the front yard in the first part this month. But here in the backyard, we have two more garden tours to do this month. We have the outer beds, and then we have the raised beds. And we've been gone. We invested some time and effort into some mental health and took off for a month to England and a transatlantic cruise back. So we have not done much in the garden. Now, the only exception here is I did have a friend come by. In fact, some of you know, cousin No Tie Mark came by and harvested Luffa for us. Yes, we're going to look at the Loofah after a month of being away, and it is November, what is this, the 13th or 15th? I think it's the 15th. And we still have new Loofah growing and old Loofah to harvest, and we have a lot of them. There's over, in fact, here's a short clip of some of the harvested Loofah that we have right now. There's a lot of them already harvested. There's over 100 here, and I did a preliminary count out here in the vines a couple days ago, and I think there's another 200 out here on the vines. So we may be breaking 300 Loofah harvested when the time comes. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a special harvest video that we're going to have coming out probably in about a month to 6 weeks of the Loofah, to see the final count and how to process. And there's going to be some mistakes I think I made in there, and some were on purpose and some were not. But be sure to hit the thumbs up so you get to see that in your feed when it comes out. If you're not already subscribed, please do that as well. As we go along here, if you have questions or you want to share experiences, please, oh please do so. I love hearing from y'all. It really gives me good ideas. Sometimes it lets me know the kind of things I should have paid attention to that maybe I overlooked. Sometimes I learn stuff. You guys have shared things on the comments, and I think, oh, really? And then I'll go try experiments and learn something myself. So don't be afraid. In fact, please do use the comments below to communicate with us and let us know what's happening in your life. Those of you who have subscribed, thank you. I appreciate it. You have made Bowtie Life what it is today. Very excited to have you here. Some of you know that these video tours that watch regularly are my own personal log of everything going on in the garden. And I go back and watch these frequently. In fact, you'll notice there's indexing in all the descriptions of every little thing in these garden tours, and you can use the slider to go back and forth. On YouTube, you can actually click the timestamps to go to a certain part of the video. You know what? I do it all the time. I'll be standing in Lowe's looking at the seed rack and say, "Ooh, did I grow that?" And I'll go back and I'll be able to look. 2 years ago, sure enough, I did grow that, and oh, it grew great. I forgot about that, and I'll go pick up some seed or whatever. I'll actually watch these videos like that frequently, and so make the viewing experience your own. Let's see. We have some other videos coming out from our trip. We have Kew Gardens, which is a huge botanical gardens in London, and we have a very old botanical garden in the Azores that we visited that was fascinating. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. I love these garden tours. I get inspiration from them. I get ideas, and you might too. So there's a lot of different ways to get inspired for your garden out there. Behind me you can see, of course, where we're going to be starting. This is the first of, well, what's becoming two blackberry arbors now, and you'll see the other one in the raised beds, but We do have blackberries growing here. This one does not grow blackberries quite as well, and we'll be talking about why here in a minute. I'm pretty sure we're going to do an experiment this year and try to get this blackberry arbor to grow better in the future. Maybe not this next year, but the year after, I'm hoping we can do better. As far as the weather, we have had a few days of nice rainy weather. In fact, I turned off the irrigation system for a few days there, and we had some rain this very morning, so everything is kind of wet and drippy. There's a few drops falling off of there. In fact, as I was starting this, a little wisp of mist was passing us. I don't know if you saw that in the very beginning of this intro, but yeah, and I'm looking at, there's one dark cloud up here, but I know there's blue skies coming, so hopefully by the time we get to the end of this video, we'll be in blue skies, and it'll be wonderful because, folks, we've had a lot of warm weather. I say warm. I mean, it's been very comfortable and humid. We're about to have some nice, cool weather tonight. It is supposed to get down into the 50s. That'll be the first time that we've experienced 50s this fall here in Destin, Florida, and we look forward to it. When it gets down to that, we always like to open our windows for overnight and put a fan out and get the new air flowing through, new biome, refresh everything in the house. And I'll leave the window open as long as I can. Sometimes I'll have to close it when it starts getting warmer, but it's supposed to be 2 days of very dry weather, and we are so excited about that. So that's the weather. The condition of the garden was a debate, okay? And if you saw the first part, you know what condition I left it in. I am, in fact, starting to cut the grass in the front yard now. In fact, you can see here's a little clip of the front yard and a little bit of the area that I have actually mowed, and I'm very happy to have gotten it started. It's one of those things, okay, get something done to get motivated to do it, right? Am I right? My garden is very disorganized. I invest a lot of time and effort into chaos gardening. Okay, that's an oxymoron, I know. Chaos gardening is the laziest way to garden. So when I was out here debating, okay, do I need to get everything looking nice and neat and mow the grass and pull the weeds and everything to start this video tour? Oh my goodness, that sounds like a lot of work. And so those of you who know me and have been watching me for 3 years know what I chose. I chose the lazy way, and I left it as it is. I will be working on it as I go. And oh my goodness, the loofah. Let's just get on with the garden tour. We'll get to the loofah in a minute. It's amazing. But yeah, let's get started on this blackberry arbor, and we'll talk about what's going on with it. I want to start out giving you an idea of the layout here. We have the arch trellis, which kind of curves off into the distance a little bit. I like that curve because it kind of draws you further into it. It was one of my favorite things that I planned and felt like, ooh, I did something right. That was fun. But you'll notice over these we have 4 pomegranate trees up here, and they are thick. When the leaves are out right now, it is fall, so the leaves are actually thinning. But those leaves up there are causing a little bit of challenge, I believe, with the blackberry arbor. And I would love to see more of this arbor covered, but it's not going to as long as there is that much leaves up there in the pomegranates. So I have actually been experimenting with the pomegranates, and I have, over the past couple years, been on these 4 pomegranates, I've been cutting off those little extra suckers off of there. And these pomegranates have performed better than the other 4 pomegranates that I have not touched at all. In fact, they've given me more big old pomegranates than the other by a long shot. Not by marginal amount, but twice as much, if not more. Probably by weight, 3 times as much. So when I'm looking for stuff to do in the garden that's going to take effort, I don't look for just marginal improvements. There's a lot of things we can do that give you a 5%, 10% improvement, but this right here is giving me a 3 times improvement. That's the kind of thing I need to spend my efforts on. So I will be working on thinning out some of these trees, actually all 4 of these trees, and getting the pomegranates to produce better on fewer branches, the way they're supposed to, and hopefully give more room for these blackberries. And the blackberries, you can see in previous videos, I've been continuing to weave these through here. They continue to grow. In fact, this one here I have not touched since I've been gone. And we actually stuck this in here last time. It is growing down here into the ground. Now, one thing I want you to notice here, we're going to see this again in just a bit. As we look up the vine here, this vine is growing this way, but the leaves are growing backwards. That's because when this thing started rooting, it started sending a signal, okay, start sending leaves back this way, and it'll actually start growing the other way. Yeah, one vine growing two ways. Now, I'm going to have to pull this out of the ground. Come on. It's going to be a little stubborn, I know. Oh, okay, it's going to be a lot stubborn. I'm going to have to walk around here because it looks like it's grown into two places. Here's the vine coming down to here. All right, you know what? I like the fact that it's growing this other thing. That is all new. This thing was only about down to here somewhere last garden tour. It is actually rooted in the ground right here and grown another shoot up here. That is very cool. Blackberries are just so resilient, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that up through there. We're going to keep this. I'm actually going to cut this right here somewhere. Well, you know what? I ought to cut it here. Maybe I can get this thing to grow something else. There's another one growing here. But basically, all I'm doing here, folks, is I'm going through here, taking these things that are growing out like this. Oh, man, there's another one. That one's rooting. I'm going to have to cut that one in the middle. I'm going to start training these things to grow up inside the arbor, weaving them back and forth and getting them to come back and grow again. A lot of this right here is going to be cleared out. If I can get a video of it, I will. It'll be a relatively short video, but I can probably arrange that. So that's the blackberries, and I mean, look at these things. This thing is just growing on and on and on and on and on until it comes all the way down here. And from here down is new growth in the past month. That's an extra, I don't know, 5 feet. And so that's the kind of thing I'm looking for, so I can come through here and weave it in and out of this cattle panel. Cattle panels are fantastic for trellis, folks. This 16-foot cattle panel, last I bought one, it cost about $34, $35. And you say, oh, wow, that sounds expensive. Well, if you go buy an arch trellis anywhere else, you're going to spend $100 for that much of an arch trellis. And maybe not even that much. So, yeah, it's a great budget way to create a lot of trellis really fast. And just some posts. T-posts, U-posts, whatever you got. I know the T-posts are better. I don't have ready access to the T-posts, unfortunately. But yeah, and here's another one. See how thick it is right up in here? I'm going to be thinning that. See how thick it is right up in here? In fact, there's a tomato plant growing up in here. We've talked about this before. Can you see? Right up in there. Those are tomatoes growing, people. I'm waiting for them to turn red. I think the other ones must have turned red. Yeah, there were some others up in there, but maybe if I can carefully thin the pomegranate, I can get some tomatoes out of this before it. Completely volunteer tomato. Don't know what it is yet. I suspect it's probably an Everglades dropped by a bird or something. But yeah, so that's the first arch trellis with the pomegranates. This one needs a lot of thinning. I need to be careful with this one. There's a lot of stuff growing right here. The nice thing is the sun is coming in from back this direction, so I probably don't need to do as much on this one as I do on these other three because they're blocking morning sun. Coming around here out to the outside of the arch trellis, we of course have our blueberries. The blueberries are looking great. There's new growth all over them. I'm looking for things like this right here. You see that green growth right there? This is all new growth. These are going to start putting on leaves, and then they're going to be putting on buds in just a couple months, and then they will be putting on blueberries, and we will be in blueberry heaven for the second time. I do see right in the middle of that blueberry there's a tree that I keep fighting, cutting off, and we got to do that. One quick update. I've been talking about these big magnolias of mine. This is a pretty big magnolia, and in fact, if I put my hand on it, you can see how big it really is. It's big. I cannot reach around it, but this magnolia tree, I watched this tree. It's been doing this splitting up the bark, and I'll go in here and I'll poke, and it actually feels really good. I've never found a rotten spot in there, and so I will continue to keep an eye on it. I think I mentioned last month that if it starts showing signs of stress, it has to come down. I do need to get up there and check inside that knot hole right there. That's one of the places that you would get some rotting that might develop, and you got to watch out for that, because once it starts rotting, it'll continue. So, going over here to the cathedral oak, not much happening on it. In fact, right here on top of here, I've stored the two 8-foot cattle panels that I use on the pepper bed, which is right next to me here. That's the raised bed. You'll see that in the next part of the garden tour. I do want to walk over here and show you the figs are coming down to the end of their leafing. And this is actually the biggest fig that I have, and I did not see any figs on it at all. Now, it is just barely under the edge of the magnolia tree. And I'm a little concerned that because of that, it gets all day afternoon sun. But I don't know if because it's underneath that the edge, I mean the very edge, it's just barely under the magnolia tree. I don't know if that's going to affect its production or not. This other fig tree right here, which is my pride and joy, because I've actually gone in here and I've got four leaders in different directions, with the main leader going up to the next level where I'm going to be having another, hopefully 4 leaders. But this thing gave us some figs, nothing we could eat, unfortunately. So it wasn't the year for production. I'm hoping, oh, in fact, I can see, look right up, okay. This is what it gave us, but this late in the season, these are typically sacrificial figs, and they're not going to produce anything. So there's one fig. I don't think I'm even going to put a bag on it. I'll put an organza bag on them when they're like that, if I think I can get out of it. We're about to get some cool weather, and I don't believe we're going to have anything else out of this fig tree. But this one is not under the magnolia, and it is producing figs. Not at the right time of the year. We need to get them to produce in the spring so we can go to maturity and harvest. We'll get there. I got to come in here and clear out some of this Biden's alba. I do like the Biden's alba because the bees love them. In fact, you can see I'm watching the bees fly in and out of the bee box over there, which you'll notice it has an extra box on top. That is to feed the bees. And Jeff came out the other day and he added a new section onto the top, and he's feeding them with a little sugar water, and hopefully they will be doing good with that. I need to check something over here and see how that's doing. Let me see if I can lift this without getting anybody too very upset. So there's the, oh, they're in there. Okay. There's the bottle of sugar water. It has a little tiny pinhole in the bottom. So I'll let him know what I saw on that. Back out here to the meadow section. This is what I call my meadow section. It looks very rough. Hey, meadows are not pretty. They are these rough areas that have all kinds of things growing wild. Of course, the Biden's alba, we have comfrey down here. We have elephant ears growing all over the place, more comfrey down. This comfrey is really shooting out. I just can't get over how much it's doing. More elephant ears. There is an amaranth over here that I don't know if it's going to come back. I'm trying to stay away from the bee box. That stick laying across down there, that's an amaranth. And I don't feel very confident on its future. But another comfrey over there. I am trying to get other things to grow in here. I eventually need to come in here and get out all the bricks that I was making a path out in here for originally, to kind of return this to its more rough state. Those bricks are where the bee box were. That, of course, is where they where the bees are now. I'm seeing pollen on those back legs. Let me see if I can show you real quick. So what you look for is as the bees come in, there went one, as the bees come in, look at their back legs and you'll see light color on their back legs as they walk in. That is the pollen that they've been picking up on their legs, and they walk in there and they'll clean themselves, they'll clean each other. Oh, there's a real good one right there. They'll clean each other and store the pollen and digest it and make their honey and feed their larvae, etc., etc. Lots of pollen going in there, tons of them. All those going in, almost every single one of them, I'm seeing a lot of white on their back legs. It's a pretty busy hive. The Loofah hedge, 5 trees along here. This one here is looking fantastic. I'm pretty sure it's going to get a little bit of a haircut before the end of the season here. Probably within the next month, I'm going to cut it off at about 6 or 7 feet just to get it a top to start spreading out from. I want these 5 trees to grow in a hedge together. The branches will be kind of touching each other. It's really an experiment more than anything, just to see if I can do it. Kevin Espiritu over at Epic Garden said one time in passing that you can hedge almost anything. He's hedging some citrus trees, and he actually said you can even hedge loquat. I'm like, ah. The moment he said that, and that was like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, the moment he said that, I thought, oh, I'm making a hedge out of these. And there it is, start of it. Looking really good. The lemon tree, we're going to have to figure out what to do with it. I still have not quite figured it out. We'll be going in here, clearing out everything, figuring out what we've got, and I will be trimming down to 1 or 2 branches that we're going to cultivate for lemons next year. This, of course, used to be a decent producing lemon tree, Meyer Lemon, and it succumbed to the Christmas of 2002. Yes, almost 3 years ago. 2022, almost 2 years ago. I almost said 3 years. Almost 2 years ago, and it is just now starting to come back. Back here, we're looking in the watermelon patch just next to it, and I do want to show you here. Uh-oh, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. A little watermelon plant here. Believe it or not, we still have one little watermelon right there. See it peeking out? It's not going to produce. It's not going to be edible, but I just thought it's cute. I'd leave it just to show you. Coming around here, oh, and of course the comfrey right here. Another comfrey is just exploding. I actually planted some of this comfrey at a friend's house. I need to go over there and check on it and see how it's doing, because this is really good fill space, and I planted it underneath some pine trees, and I want to see if it'll grow. It's very prolific. I don't know if it'll grow or not. Of course, you look at the top of the frame there, you can see the Birdhouse gourds growing. That's very exciting. They're actually from my neighbor's arbor way over there, up in the left there, and he and I both experimented with growing vines. We've kind of grown them into each other's yard on purpose, and we've been having fun with it. With his Birdhouse gourds. In fact, let me walk over here and show you another set of Birdhouse gourds growing. Basically, we say whatever's on my side of the fence is mine, whatever's on his side of the fence is his, and let it fall the way it may. So, yeah, kind of fun. The loofah. Lordy day, people. Yeah, look at all those loofah. And this is just the end of it. This is just the very end of it. And if you look up through there, you'll see in the raised garden bed tour, there's a whole lot more. I've been picking them, not quite when they're that fresh, but that big one is going to be picked pretty soon. That's the big one I showed you last time right there. And it is looking wonderful. I'll pick them when they start turning brown. In fact, this one has a little mold on the end. It's still okay. I'll actually probably end up picking this one just so I can clean that mold off and get it indoors. We've had a lot of rain, and so mold has been a problem. But the loofah, I'm going to just slide over here and show you. That's the 100-inch arch trellis that they started on right there. And that's the trunk, the 17-foot tree trunk that's more than 3 foot across that it has completely consumed. Yes, can you say Audrey 2? This is Audrey 3. Tell me about it. Oh my goodness. I've been actually fighting it from keeping this fig tree. This is my brown turkey fig, and I've been fighting to keep it from consuming it. You'll see all the straps on here. They're on there because the loofah had pulled it over. We did a video on that just not too long ago, and you can go back and look at that video on how to straighten a tree. You see I've got 2 straps. It actually had curved while we were gone, and it's looking better now. In fact, I'm noticing this strap has slack in it now. I wonder if I could actually take that down. Probably can. But these loofah, oh my goodness, they are in every shape, size, and stage. There's actually loofah all up inside here, growing. There's about 2 dozen growing inside this shade cloth. In fact, if I come under here, and I always hit my head on these loofah that are in here, and when it's been raining, you hit your head and you get all wet. You get a rain. There's one of the birdhouse gourds right there. More loofah. Another big bird. Look at there. See, that's a birdhouse gourd right there. Huge loofah over here. A couple of good ones there. So many loofah. So many loofah. Yeah, we're going to have a special video coming out on the harvest of the loofah. This has been such a focus of my garden this year. It is going to be... I want to get the full effect, which was my total goal for this. I wanted to see what would happen. I do want to show you, though. I don't always show this part. I want to show you the base of these. Now, look at these leaves. Like that leaf there. There's not a bite on it. Oh, well, there's a little bit of leaf borer, or yeah, the guy that goes inside the leaf there and makes those trails. That's an insect that goes in there and chews tunnels through your leaves. But it's still a working leaf. So this is the vine. I couldn't break this vine if I wanted to. This vine is tough, tough, tough. It feels like 6 segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments. You know, we grew zucchini. I tried it 2 years in a row. Every single time I had vine borers. That's a little insect that eats its way into this vine. And this stuff is so tough. They haven't done it on this at all. The base of this is just big as my thumb and tough and woody as all get out. Now, I can feel there's been a little attempts on it, but nothing's gotten in there yet. So that's one of the reasons why I really like these things. And we'll talk about my mistakes that I made here. Some of them were on purpose. Some of them were not, in that video coming up. So be sure to subscribe to hear what I have to say about this loofah experience. And it has truly been exactly that, a loofah experience. It's been fun. Oh, I have enjoyed it. I just stand out here. I come out here sometimes just to see what it looks like. There's a birdhouse gourd right down there in the bottom. Loofah, 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 big loofah, another loofah. I mean, they're just all over the place up in here. Just tons and tons of loofah. I do want to show you close up this tree because it is nothing short of impressive. In fact, you can see there's like 4 or 5 loofah over there. There's 3 right there. I'm going to stand up on this stump over here so I can get you the full effect. I've actually harvested probably a couple dozen off this tree already, but you can see there's several dozen more. I did harvest those ones that were sitting on top. They were turning brown. But this is just one side, people. Just one side. There's dozens on just this tree. Some more growing in the shade cloth. It's amazing. Okay, past the wood pile that hopefully this winter will get at least partially cleaned up. We have the old Satsuma orange tree that we lost in that 2022 Christmas freeze. It is starting to rot. You'll notice there are mushrooms. Now, folks, I keep hearing people say, oh, should I be worried about mushrooms in my garden? Absolutely not. Mushrooms in the garden are gold, people. And what I'm waiting for, I don't want to cut this thing off at the ground. I don't want to cut it. I want it to start rotting. So when it's ready, I can grab this thing and it'll just pull off. And all those roots will stay in the ground, giving organic material to the ground. And what the mushroom here tells me is that the rotting is beginning to happen. These mushrooms are the things, the network of cells that are in there are the things that are going to eat this thing off at the ground. And it's exactly what I want to do. I play the long game here. Remember, I started off talking about chaos and lazy gardening. Well, here's the epitome of it right here, letting nature do what nature does well. It works for us, and we got to let nature work for us. The old corn bed will be clearing. In fact, we're going to be clearing out all this area here. I don't know if I'm going to be growing corn over here, and I would like to clear out as much of this wood pile as possible because I am still thinking I would like to put pumpkins over on this side. That would be a fun thing to add to the garden this year. I mentioned the pomegranate trees in the beginning. Here are the 4 pomegranate trees. There's 1 that's not doing well, 2 that's actually got a half of it that's dying, 3 and 4. These I have not touched at all, and I'm going to have to touch them this year because they are looking rough. And I'm learning my lesson. Need to take care of these trees. So yeah, we'll be taking care of these here this winter, hopefully, when the weather is nice. We do have behind that pomegranate on the right, we have a lemon tree, another lemon tree that's coming back. And there's yet another lemon tree kind of buried down in here. There's 2 of them actually that we'll be taking a look at more closely when we start taking care of them. This is my original rosemary plant here. You saw the rosemaries in the front and side gardens. Well, I pointed out one of them. I don't think I pointed out the one in the second tier garden bed. But this is where they all come from. If you are one of the people that I've given a rosemary plant to within the past 3 years, it came from cuttings off of this plant right here. This is a beautiful plant, and I'm just so blessed that this came with our property. Beautiful, beautiful rosemary plant. The south pot garden here, not looking great. We have the aloe in here. I need to get in here and clean out. I'm allowing the weeds to cover over this lemon tree. Ouch. This is a lemon tree here, and then there's another lemon over back here. This is a lemon tree, and I'm allowing the weeds to cover it so as to insulate it from whatever happens in the next couple months over the winter. Here's our Dietes bicolor grass that I need to break up. Oh lordy day, Gardener Scott, that's the grass I got to get broken up because I want to have several of these around the yard. Just have to do it. Just another thing got to get done, people. How does that work? Okay, spearmint down here. We have, did you remember how this thing bloomed? I was so excited. This is the most beautiful aloe bloom in my yard. And the little red flowers that come out of this is gorgeous. This thing is looking wonderful. I need to take these pups out and start taking care of them a little better so they can thrive and grow more. I say this every time. There's a bunch of loquat trees right there. If anyone local would like a loquat tree, like that hedge I showed you earlier, please, oh please, let me know, and we can arrange to get one to you. One last thing over here, and that is going to be the compost, and I've pulled that back the front here. I've been adding onto the top of it still. This is going to get shoveled over to here. I do want to point out, do you remember all the loose stuff that was down here? Well, in the past month and a half, that loose stuff has started to break down, and it's starting to look fantastic. It is ready for me just to flip this over and put this compost, but look at this deep, dark brown stuff. It's even got layers of sand for mineral support and places for biome to live. It's beautiful looking, and that's what I want. This will be spread all over the garden come this winter, and I will be flipping this bed, the top half of it at least, over here so that I can get to this really rich, beautiful soil. And I still have this over here. It doesn't look like much. That's a lot of seaweed. If you saw the video of the walking tour on Loofah, the Bahama island, this is the exact same stuff that I had in my hand in that video on the beach. that washed up. Same exact stuff. So that is the compost update, and I just need to get another thing done. Back here is the other Magnolia. I'm trying to get a fly off of, there we go. It's on my camera. Anyway, this thing does have moss growing on it. It's actually a very healthy tree. I was talking about the health. I do need to investigate that hole right there and make sure that it's not rotting down inside. Again, we as God's creation, He has given us dominion over the plants. And if this thing is going to be a danger, and see, I don't let the vines, God created the vines to pull down diseased and dying trees. And because I pull the vines, I have to do this myself. Well, or pay someone to do it. I have a neighbor who is an amazing arborist, and he comes over and cleans up stuff like this, but I need to watch this tree, and I'll be probing down in that hole to see if anything bad is happening. And of course that palm tree, I've just let it go. I keep it trimmed some. Chaos gardening takes a lot of patience, people. So that's it. That's the outer garden bed tour and everything going on. I'm serious when I said those loquat trees over there, they're actually healthy. They're just in a solo cup, so they're kind of dormant. And right now is the time to get those planted. This winter would be perfect. They'll sleep next year. They'll creep the following year. They'll leap after that. So let me know in the comments. You can message me on either Facebook or Instagram. I try to keep an eye on those, folks. If I don't respond right away, just have some patience. Try again, and we will get there. Compost. Oh, I'm very excited about the compost coming out. Anyway, oh, and looky there, the sun. What did I tell you? We're going to start having sun. I see blue sky up there. Oh, it's looking beautiful. Clouds are moving off, and we are looking at a beautiful, beautiful weekend. This is a Thursday, and so, yeah, it's going to be beautiful Saturday. I'm loving it. It's going to be a good day to work in the garden and get some stuff done. Yay, yeehaw. So, all that, and of course, like I said before, please subscribe. Click the thumbs up on this video if you thought it was informational, educational, inspirational, or just entertaining. I mean, the whole Loofah, Expanse, the invasion, that's laughable. It's okay. I'm laughing too. It's hilarious. If you're laughing at that too, yeah, click the thumbs up. Let me know in the comments, because I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm seeing over here. Those yellow flowers, I don't know if you saw the short that just came out, I don't know, a week ago or so, a little over a week ago by now. It shows how many flowers are on that thing still. Think about those flowers. There's pollinators still crawling all over them. Honeybees, bumblebees, ants, all kinds of flying insects, wasps, all kinds of things flying all over there. So attracting a lot of pollinators to the garden still. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll be reminded when the raised garden bed tour comes out. And when that Loofah harvest video comes out, and it's probably going to be 4 to 6 weeks till it comes out, because there's still a lot growing on that Loofah vine. And I have spent a lot of time on it this season, on videos, on content, and just being out here. It's what cousin No Tie Mark actually came and worked on. Twice a week he would come the whole time we were gone and harvest, and that's how we got that big pile inside that you saw in that little snippet. Are part of that big pile. When I got home, there were 58 of them. Now there's well over 100, and they're growing. Not quite every day, but I'll say every 2 or 3 days I'm harvesting between 1 and 4 Loofah. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a really interesting video that's going to come out, and the results of that experiment and the mistakes that I made. So all that is done. And we are completed with the outer garden bed tour for November 2024. Yeah, we're coming down to the end of the year. You know, pretty soon here we're going to be starting year 4 of these garden tours. And you can follow along. You're welcome to join on every one of them. I'm having fun recording these for my own good, because like I said at the beginning, I look at these all the time. And these are for me. And you are just so welcome to come along. They're going to happen nevertheless. Y'all have a great day. Have a blessed day.